Welcome to my November 27th, creating photos and videos. We're back to the topic of making videos, primarily making videos, not travel anymore this week. And as I've mentioned many times, and any video you listen to from anybody doing YouTube videos or any other kind of videos, they'll tell you that audio is king. Audio is number one. And so last week when I was recording my episode, I wasn't getting any audio, and that was a bit of an issue. This week I'm trying Cinemaker again, and you'll see I have three cameras going. I have my iPhone 6S or 6S Plus down here, focusing down here on the table, and I have my old iPad mini off to the side, almost in the boiler room, and getting this whole scene because I've started to work on the basement, as you can see. I've actually thrown some things away, and I've moved some stuff around, and I've got this bench which used to separate the entry to the studio proper, and it's kind of like a waiting room. It may actually be where I do these creating photos and videos episodes from now on, because although I do have to move the lights around, and I've got a plan to make a little set right adjacent to where I am now, which would probably be better. So at any rate, audio is king. And today I want to talk about a audio recorder. And the audio recorder is Olympus LS-P4. LS-P4. This replaces my little Olympus WS-852 recorder that I used for a long time. In fact, I did an episode of Photography and Technology Tools on the WS-852 model. And one of the viewers left a comment and mentioned how he really liked his Olympus LS-P4. And so that made me look at it. It also made me kind of reevaluate whether I want to get a new recorder or not. Yeah, and I have a larger one, but I've never really used it. I like the little ones. But why do you need a recorder? Well, that's what this episode's about, to talk about how I use this recorder and why I really like it. Today I wanted to talk about different ways you can use it and why you'd even want to have one. First of all, a lot of people swear by the Zoom line of audio recorders, and they're excellent. I got a Tascam DR40, I think it is. That's the one I don't use very much, but it really is a nice recorder. It takes XLR inputs. It is a very versatile recorder for certain situations. But a lot of people, if they don't have the higher end Zoom recorder, they get the Zoom H1. And the Zoom H1 is about the same size as this and has dual microphones at the top. So I was looking at that and thinking, well, that's maybe what I should get, when this viewer commented on the Olympus LS-P4, because this is probably $40 or more expensive than the Zoom H1. And then Zoom came out with the Zoom H1N, which improved some of the things that people complained about in the original Zoom. So that was another thing to consider. But when I really compared them for how I was going to use them, I decided to go ahead and go with the Olympus. Let's see how this recorder works. Right now I'm recording into my iPhone XS, and I'm using a lav mic that's plugged in to the lightning port. So let's turn this recorder on by holding down the power switch. You see it's coming on. It's ready to record. So what I'm going to do is, first time you press the red record button, it cues it up. So it hasn't started recording yet, but then you can look at your volume. The volume readout seems to be pretty decent. So I'm going to press record again, and now it's going to actually start recording. All right? And so what you're hearing now is the audio being captured by the LS-P4 recorder while it sits in my shirt pocket. And this is a handy way to use this. This is great. You know, I've mentioned before, I go to Germany. If I might go on a sightseeing tour and it's in German, I can have this on and record it so I can go back and listen again, because I don't always pick up, though I speak German, I don't always pick up everything the tour guide is telling me or comprehend it necessarily. So this is the LS-P4 with recording from my shirt pocket. So let's stop that. Stop. And now we're just going to put it on this little tripod, one of these little mini GorillaPods. And this is a way you might use it when you're recording somebody who is at a table and maybe doing an interview. So I'm pressing the record button and I'm pressing it again. And now this audio is from the LS-P4 as it sits on the table in front of me. I'm up here, the recorder's down there, and it's probably about 2.5 feet away. So that's how that sounds. That's the audio while it's a couple feet away from me on a table. Okay, I'm going to stop that. And now we're going to put it on a tripod, which really is not a whole lot different situation. So here we have a tripod. Put the recorder on it. Now, what I'm doing is screwing it into this 1/4-20 attachment that comes with the recorder. Okay, so now I'm putting it on here, and I'm pointing it toward the two microphones towards me. Okay, so what you're hearing now is nothing. You're hearing my lav mic. So I press the record button, press it again, and now you're listening to the LS-P4 that's sitting in front of me, again, maybe 2 feet away, a little bit less perhaps, attached to a tripod. Okay, we're going to press the stop button, and now we'll take this off. And this one is a little bizarre. I'm going to attach it to a rope hanging from above. So what I'm doing is attaching it to this clip, which has a rope on it. I have a nail in the beam above me, one of the advantages of working in a space where there's no ceiling really. Okay, so I'm pressing the record button, and I'm pressing it again, and the microphone is right there, and this is the audio you're hearing from the LS-P4 hanging overhead, as I might do with a boom mic. So that's another way that this could be used. Okay, so we'll see how that audio sounds. All right, we're going to push the record button. Or no, we're going to push the stop button and stop the recording. And those are 4 different ways that I can demonstrate to you how I might use this audio recorder. Now I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to leave it up here. It uses a single AAA battery. And now we're back to the audio from the lavalier that's plugged into my iPhone 7 Plus. So you might ask, why use a lav mic if this recorder is so good? Well, the main reason is simplicity. When I use the recorder, I need to sync up that audio, the audio file, with the video file. Sync up the sound, which means I need to do a double clap or something at the beginning when I have both the iPhone, in this case, recording the video and the recorder recording the audio. So I had to sync that up. Now, if you're using Adobe Premiere or you're using Final Cut Pro or the desktop, there's a very simple way to do that. If you're using, as I am, LumaFusion on a mobile device, on an iPad, then you have to do it manually. And it's not difficult, it's just another step. So that's one reason not to use the recorder. But the main reason I would use the recorder, and I need to use this more, as witnessed by last week, is backup. So if something fails in recording with your camera, smartphone, whatever you're using to record, if something fails, then you want backup. And so if this is running and getting really decent audio, even if it's not the greatest audio, at least it's audio. And so if, as last week, you end up finding out that you got no audio at all as you were recording through your lav mic or a plugged-in mic, or even the iPhone all by itself or Android phone, then if you were running the recorder, then you have that as backup. So that's a primary reason to use it. The other would be is if you're doing an interview and you need the lav mic on yourself, and so that's going right into the video. And now there are setups where you can have multiple mics. Rode makes a device that lets you have input from at least 2, maybe even 3 mics going into one recording device, the iPhone in this case. But if you don't want to do that or don't have that equipment, but you do have a recorder, Putting the recorder on the table between two people that you're interviewing will pick up really good sound when they answer questions, and you'll get the questions recorded through the lav mic that you're wearing, or if you're even just recording one person. But it picks up fairly well, and if you can put it in the middle of even three people, it would pick up the sound quite well, I think. Okay, so that's in an interview situation. The other is sound bites. One of my goals, even though I don't do it myself, is to encourage people, especially around Thanksgiving time. We just in the United States just had our annual Thanksgiving celebration this past weekend. And it's a time when family gets together, whether it's Thanksgiving or it's Christmas or other holidays throughout the year, especially when family do get together. Someone usually tells a story. Remember when Uncle Joe did this, or whatever. Or maybe that's just, you encourage maybe your grandfather to tell you some stories, or your mother to tell you some stories. Turn on a recorder, capture it. I didn't do this with my in-laws, and I'm so regretful that I didn't. I never did it with my mother. It is something that's very important. So, if you put a recorder in front of somebody, initially they're a little intimidated. Oh, is this going to record everything I'm saying? Yes, it is. Eventually they forget about it, but you put a lav mic on them, they're aware of that, and again, they may forget it, but they're less likely to forget it. Whereas, and I've done this with a friend of mine, where he was telling some stories. I said, wait, let me turn this recorder on, and I did, and he eventually completely forgot about the recorder, just went on telling his stories as he normally would. And you've got great sound bites, whether you're doing a video maybe of history, of stories of this family or whatever it might be, but it's a good way to get sound bites. There are several different scenarios where a recorder, a separate recorder, is important to use, or even perhaps might give you better sound than you're getting now, depending on the lav mic you're using, or a clip-on mic, or whatever it happens to be. Clip-on onto the phone, I mean. So, in conclusion, little recorders are very handy. And in fact, let me play for you two clips that I'll end up today's episode with. And first of all, let me thank you very much for checking in, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. But what I want you to play for you now is a choir recital that I recorded when we were in Germany in a church in the small town of Roth. The first clip is the iPhone recording. I was holding it up and recording playing of the orchestra and the singing of the choir. And then the second clip is just sound that I recorded with the LS-P4 sitting on, there was like a little ledge for hymnals in the pew in front of me, and I just put it right there. Amazing, in this medium-sized church in Roth, the quality of the sound that it captured when these folks were singing.